terrorism strategy.
Let me bring into this conversation Mohammed Shafiq. Mohammed is from the Ramadhan Foundation. Mohammed, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Roberto.
Welcome to the programme.
Thank you. Good to be on again.
Thank you. You say this is the right decision. Why?
Well, as I said to you at the time, when the decision was made to strip her of her citizenship, this is not about her crimes or alleged crimes. Her decision to go and join ISIS, which is a barbaric and evil entity. I've spent the last, 10, 15 years fighting terrorist groups. So the idea that I'm somehow an apologist for terrorist group is absolutely absurd, as some on the right are claiming. This is about the fact that she has no ability to challenge the government's decision and to be able to be given a fair and open and transparent fair trial. And it's absolutely right that she is allowed back into the UK to fight that case. And if there are allegations of involvement in terrorism or other criminal activities, they're absolutely right. And I support the police investigation into that and for her to be held to account on that. I think that's the issue. And the other really important thing, I think, for people of second generation and third generation British Asians and black people in this country, being told that there was one rule, for people who have an ethnic or who have a connection to another country by the fact that their parents were born there, that somehow that you can strip them of citizenship and expect another country to take them up.
Well, no, and of course referring to Bangladesh, of course, where she has some sort of connection. Her father's in Bangladesh. Why can't she go there?
Yeah, well, she's never been from Bangladesh. She's never been to Bangladesh. And as I understand, that her relationship with her father is non-existent. And the Bangladeshi authorities, the government there, have refused to even counter the suggestion that they would take her in. She's British. She's our problem. And as I said, she should be put on trial if she's committed of any crimes. But she's absolutely right that the decision was made that she come to the UK to challenge the Home Secretary's decision. And remember that the Home Secretary made a decision. He wanted to appear to look tough. And make decisions based on party political reasons. That's why I'm really skeptical of politicians making these decisions. And I'm really glad I live in a country where people can use the judicial process to get justice.
Look, and I've mentioned this all programme, what the Court of Appeal decided today legally, of course it's correct. Of course the law is there to protect everyone, even people that perhaps we may not like. But there will be a public view on this, which is very strong, Mohammed.
Well, I appreciate that strong public view, and I share those concerns. As somebody whose faith has been hijacked by these maniacs and these terrorists, I've had an added responsibility these past 5-10 years to take on the narrative of the terrorist and expose ISIS. So I share that concern. But laws in the country and the judicial system isn't driven by people's individual circumstances and people's emotions, but driven by equality and the application of the law.
But what does British society gain if she wins her appeal by allowing Shamima and all the other people who left to join IS the right to return to the UK? What are we gaining from that?
So the gentleman from the Henry Jackson Society lumped in everybody who's either been a fighter to people like Shamima Begum, children whose parents made a decision to go out there. So there's a distinction between the two. If you've been fighting in Syria for ISIS, then I don't support your returning to this country. I think that's very, very clear because you've been responsible for killing innocent people there, and you're a threat to the country. But in this case, there is no evidence to suggest that she has been involved in those crimes. And all the hundreds of children that are stranded out there in those refugee camps, what crimes have they committed? So I think you've got to draw the distinction between the two type of groups of people. And I think that is something which, we've got to be very sensitive to.
Indeed. And again, the law has done, the law has been followed by the Court of Appeal. They've done what the law says they should do and grant her a right to appeal. And the law is there to protect everybody. But it's going to be a very tough sell to the British people. This because she was married to a Dutch jihadi. Are we supposed to believe that she wasn't aware of what her husband and other jihadis were doing in Syria?
Yeah. So I think when she made the decision to go to Syria, she was 15. And so there is an element of grooming, possibly online, that needs to be investigated. And I just don't think it's right and proper that if you have somebody who who's white and committed a heinous crime, where would you deport that person? Well, you can't deport them anywhere because they haven't got any link to any other country. But just because her father or her grandfather or great grandfather came from a particular country, that you take the decision to strip her of her citizenship and make her stateless, and just assume that another country will take her in when they said they won't.
I'm not
and
sure.
I think there are.
Mohammed, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not sure
Sure.
it's to do with the colour of her skin, but she.
Well, I think it is.
Hang on, she was 15.
Think...
She may have been good. We don't know, but she was 15. She left the country. She renounced the British way of life. It seems she's now changed her mind.
Yeah, and as I said, I've got no truck with that ideology and their violence and their crimes. I'm just setting out what I believe is the discrimination that has been applied in British citizenship. And you might not say, other people may not say that race doesn't come into it, but I think in this period of Black Lives Matter and racism has been
Hang on. It was
sure.
Sajid Javid, the Home Secretary, who revoked her citizenship.
Yeah.
Last time I checked, he wasn't white.
I think it's quite simplistic to say just because he happens to be a British Pakistani that somehow he's immune from carrying out and making decisions that have an adverse impact on certain communities. You cannot have a two-tier citizenship, and the Court of Appeal agrees with that decision, and that's why it's made its ruling today. And I think that is something which we should celebrate. The fact we live in a country where it doesn't matter how powerful you are held to account for your decisions.
Mohammed, good to talk to you again. Thank you, as always.
Always. Thank you.
Mohammed Shafiq from the Ramadhan Foundation.